Hey, y'all. Welcome to What Could Possibly Go Wrong, the podcast where two neurodivergent friends speak about the crossroads of deep anxieties, imagination, and hopefully some humor. I'm here today with my friend Lyndzy. Lyndzy, make some noise for yourself. And maybe a quick introduction.
I'm Lyndzy. I am a teacher and I dabble in martial arts and foreign languages. I like to play video games in my spare time and also spend my spare time with small child. Not really small anymore, but I like to say that she's small because she's bigger than me. I also like all the shiny, glittery, magical, and macabre. And talking to my friend Ari. Ari?
Hey, I am a travel medical worker, a van lifer, a psychology enthusiast, and true crime connoisseur. And we're here today to settle into our armchairs of neurodivergence and the tatter rags of our psychology degrees to talk about what topic, Lyndzy?
Oh, we're going to be talking about the 5-day work week. What could possibly go wrong with the 5-day work week? I mean, we've had it around for a while. Is there something going wrong at this point? It's become part of our everyday. Why question the status quo, right? So unfortunately, something happened to us about 4 years ago that made us all question the status quo in life itself, as we actually had time to think about the existential dread that is our lives. And also do things in a different way instead of doing things the same way just because we've always done it that way. And it opened a lot of doors and a lot of questions to the 5-day work week. Is it working? So I'm going to show you a clip. It's a short, it's a little bit of history through this guy online who seems like he's got his I's dotted and his T's crossed.
The 40-hour, 5-day work week was first introduced during the Great Depression to reduce work hours and increase productivity. But it could be on its way to getting a huge makeover as some companies in the US and abroad move towards a 4-day work week. Could your employer be considering it soon? We often blur the lines between work and the personal life, especially if we work from home or have a demanding job. But shorter work weeks give us more personal time, which can have a major positive impact on mental health. A shorter work week means fewer cars on the road. With people commuting less, that means less air pollution and less traffic. Despite the conventional wisdom, workers are more likely to perform better and be more focused. Bolt, a company that moved to 4-day work weeks, found it greatly improved productivity. A shorter work week could be a major improvement for a lot of workers and for the environment. The 5-day job was a definite upgrade over 80 years ago, but our economy is due for another upgrade.
Sounds great. Okay, so what could possibly go wrong then? This sounds great.
Right. What could possibly go wrong? The 4-day work week is
that's right.
Yeah, that's what sounds great. But what could possibly go wrong with what we've always done? The 5-day work week. And this is where
existential crisis, depression, worthlessness, overwork, other mental diseases coming to fruition, lack of leisure time. Yeah, no, I don't know what could possibly go wrong with.
All right, absolutely. Take it out. Just a few things, right? So real quick, I'm going to backtrack a little bit about what this gentleman said. The 5-day work week was actually piloted prior to the Great Depression by Henry Ford, and he did that in 1926. He adopted the 5-day work week. Some people worked 12 hours a day, and more manufacturing stuff got done. So it's still based on that model, what we're using now. And by 1929, during the Great Depression, it became the regular for most jobs. So I don't know if you know this about Henry Ford, but he was all about efficiency and not really great with the human skills. It's not really a surprise that that's where it came from to me. Right. But what could possibly go wrong? All the things you just rattled off. Before, we weren't really concerned about mental health. Now we're a lot more concerned about mental health. Why? Because when we got stuck indoors with ourselves for a period of time, we all realized maybe we can't do that. Maybe we can't stop and think because we had time to focus on what's really going on up here. Instead of just shoving everything off and disassociating, we suddenly had to deal with our personal anxieties and our personal issues and our deep-seated thoughts. And so now people since they've gotten in touch with that are starting to figure out, hey, maybe mental health is a thing. I'm not entirely sure. Other things with the 5-day work week that I think is personally, this is where I think it might have gone wrong. And this is to the detriment of the future. After women's lib in the war, when we started with 2 working parents, okay, like we already started on the 5-day work week, but most homes only had 1 working parent. When we started with 2 working parents, kids do not get the attention that they need during the prime developmental years of between 0 and 5. Okay. And what makes it even crazier is like they're being put in front of something digital to keep them busy, whether it be a television or a tablet or something else, instead of having genuine, real human interaction. I'm not saying that they're all wrong, because God help me, Team Umizoomi is the only reason why my kid is good at math. It's not me. It's because Team Umizoomi showed them math at the right stage of the game. Okay. But when all your socialization comes from that, when you're leaving your child with a grandparent who might be past the age where they can really interact with them on a deep level, and the television becomes their substitute for socialization, it causes issues. And I think that this goes back to the 5-day work week. If we didn't have a 5-day work week when women started working more, even with 2 working parents, if somebody was Monday through Thursday and then somebody was Tuesday through Friday, that is 4 days that a child with a developing brain gets to spend with a parent. I mean, that's golden. That's what they need. That's why we see it, so many kids today, as a teacher, I see a lot of them, and it's only gotten worse since the pandemic. They don't know how to make eye contact and speak with you. They don't know how to take accountability for anything that they've done, because no one's ever demonstrated that to them before. They don't know how to resolve a problem between them and another student. And I'm not like an elementary school teacher. I am a middle school, high school teacher. And children can't sit in a group together and figure out how to use one pencil between them just to rotate the pencil to do different things. They will argue with each other about the pencil because they don't have the socialization skills to say, hey, let's set forward a plan. I will answer these questions. You answer this, because sometimes I do weird group activities where it is 4 kids sharing a pencil. Not always do 4 kids share a pencil.
I was about to say, that's a scary problem. It is that bad that I could.
It does speak to our supply shortages as teachers. Donate to your kid's teacher. 5-day work week, 2 parents out of the house, the formative years where they need to learn these things, they don't get it. And then expounded by a pandemic where they didn't get the pro-socialization skills with kids their own age in school. And instead they were at home on Zoom. Granted, they have a whole, by the way, like, I don't know how many people know this, but they have a whole nother skill set, those pandemic kids, that I have never seen before. They sit there and they can get in my computer and fix things that I can't fix on my computer.
I would mention that was actually, like, I know there's a lot of cons about sitting your kid in front of a TV or something, but I think there is also some pros about giving them an iPad, something interactive, in which they will need in the future, and the skills that obviously us older people are starting to lose. It's just the natural growth of technology that the younger generation has a harder or firmer grasp on those things. And I think that's great. But I think you're also right. The wire monkey experiment comes to mind, where there was a monkey. They were given either a wire frame as a mother, or they were given one with just a little bit of softness and fuzz. And the one with the softness and fuzz was more easily accepted into the social norms of a group behavior later in life, where the ones who were just given that hard, tactile, no concept of what that thing was as a mother, they failed in social settings. I think that's a huge thing to kids and family growth with a 4-day work week. I'm going to mention one other thing, because I am sometimes a shift worker where I will work graveyards, midnight to 8 a.m. And everyone's like, oh, that's so great. You can get everything done. Well, no, because you're sleeping during the day. You have to sleep sometime. But that's the point, is that if these are our business hours, people are only open from 9 to 5. When are people supposed to go and do business things?
Absolutely. I'm actually, in the future, we're going to get to something about that I think ties into what you just said. I'll mention it when we get there. But yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Kids need exposure to technology. Don't get me wrong. However, it's causing a gap in pro-social skills. And I mean, even our generation, like where our, parents were both working parents. I feel like I knew my grandmother when I was younger, like very well, because I was at her house. Thankfully, I had a grandmother who had the mental capacity to speak to me like a person. I try to imagine if it's like some of the older people that I meet today that don't have that capacity anymore.
As a medical worker, we have definitely made the boomer generation one of the sickest generations. And so that mental capacity of what our kids' grandparents are has diminished.
Yes.
So you are correct.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's an issue. I mean, that also goes in with what could be a future episode about VPK for all, which I think should be a thing, but we'll get there one day. So 5-day work week. Okay. We have children losing pro-social skills. The pandemic expounded it and it just made it super obvious in our faces at this point. They're smart kids. They just didn't get what they needed at the right developmental phase. And so it's going to be much harder to catch them up to where they are. And honestly, I think a lot of even adults in their lives don't see it that way. They see them as being disrespectful or see them as, trying them or whatever. And it's not even that. It's just they don't have it. You need to really have that patience to deal with them and explain it to them. So these things, mental health, honestly, productivity is a thing that we're going to get to. There's less productivity in a 5-day work week than there is in a 4 in most cases. Yeah. In June of 2022, okay, there were 61 UK based companies who went to a 4-day work week. All right. And the results came out in February 2023. Are you ready for them?
Yes.
Okay. 92% of them still wanted to be testing out the 4-day work week. They wanted to continue with it. They didn't want to get rid of it. 92% is a lot. Okay. 29% of those 92% already made it a permanent change for their company.
Wow.
So that's like a third. Yeah. And the group, huh?
I said, I'm moving.
Right. So the average revenue growth for these companies was 1.4%. The revenue didn't even go down. It went up, which is what I was saying. Like the productivity actually went up. 57% of them were less likely to quit their job by the end of it. That's more than half of the people that usually quit. And then 65% reduction of sick days, which goes back to what you said earlier. As a person that works at night, when are you going to find the time to go? You have to sleep at some time. People, I mean, I take off of work for doctor's appointments that I have to have. But if you know that you have Friday off, which is a functional work week for people to be in a doctor's office, most people will schedule that appointment for Friday. Then when they have to get things done the other 4 days of the week. I mean, maybe I wear rose-colored glasses, and I know that there are some people in the world that are lazy. But I really do think that the majority of people want to do well and want to do well at their job because it has some kind of meaning for them in their life to be able to do what they need to. And so even though, yes, there will probably be a few people that take advantage of it and go, oh, well, every doctor's appointment for me is now on a Monday. There are also, for the overwhelming majority, it'll help. What are your thoughts about the results on this study?
I'm in. On very, very, very rare occasion, I've been with a company that has allowed us to work 4 tens instead of 5 days a week. And really, I'm not a huge fan of 4 tens. I would just rather 4 8-hour days.
I've got good news for you. This study was 4 8-hour days.
Oh,
it wasn't 4 tens. I've done 4 tens before too, and you're half dead by the end of that. You need a full day of recovery after 4 tens. But this study was literally full salary, 32 hours of work a week.
That is, I think that would definitely be the golden spot. Like you said, despite the fact that we're both goth people and we know that misery exists on this world, we do know that lazy people exist. But what I have found is that most people, despite their aptitude or intelligence or whatever, they want to do a good job. There is something intrinsically satisfying to doing a good job. And I really do believe that those lazy people really probably have something else going on.
And that's usually true. And a lot of them found out about it during the pandemic,
And I believe that giving them a little extra time to work that out, I'm going to tell a personal anecdote. One of the facilities I worked at recently had an older woman working there. She was 65 and probably should have retired. However, she had an older millennial daughter who was dependent on her, and a mother with many, many violent mental illness problems who was just deteriorating fast. And so she would have to take off several days a week. And she went on to, here in America, we have FMLA, which allows you to take off the time that you need and then go help family members. She maxed it out. It only goes for so long, but like her mom's not going to be cured anytime soon. You know, her mom is on the downhill. And so I was like, what do you do now? When the job was basically like, you either go to part-time and you show up when we tell you, or you're fired permanently. I was like, that's the most frightening position you could ever put someone in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so you think she worked hard for them? I wouldn't. I mean, she did, bless her soul, but I wouldn't if a company treated me like that.
Right.
No. So yes, I am a big believer in giving people time and space to sort out their personal lives, because our life is more than work.
I completely agree. I mean, balance is important, and happy employees do a better job. As somebody who works in education, when I was previously a curriculum specialist, I used to say happy teachers make happy kids.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
If the teachers feel supported, if they feel like they have all the resources they need, if they feel like they're valuable, they will be better with the kids. And when you have happy teachers and happy kids, learning happens. So, yeah, no, so I totally agree with you there. So this company, or these companies, had a very set plan to make this work and still have the same amount of productivity. And I find it kind of fascinating. And this is what they did to make 4 days a week work for everybody. They defined the work that matters at work.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had a job where it's like, but what's more important? Is it this or this? They're both important. But what's more important?
Nothing is a priority when everything is a priority.
Exactly. How am I supposed to know? Just tell me. And I swear to God, I'll do both. I just need to know what order. Like, it's that also could go back to me being neurodivergent, that I have to know, but I have to know the order of operations. So they defined the work that matters. Okay. They said, this is the order of importance of everything that you do. Okay. They also ran meeting audits where they decided if something could be in an email instead of in a meeting.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. I cannot tell you how many times as a medical worker, I'm like, I need to have hands on a patient, not be listening to your bull crap.
Absolutely. It's just like, why don't we do this anyway? Wouldn't that be great? Like, oh God. So they allowed employees to work to the full extent of their training and education. They put more trust in their ring instead of micromanaging them. If you hire somebody for a job, once they've passed the training phase, that is the job that you hire them for. And micromanagement past that point is really unnecessary. Again, like going back to what we said earlier, in general, people want to do well at their job. It's part of them feeling good about themselves. And so if you trust them, that makes them want to do even better. So important facts of life. Asynchronous communication.
Yeah.
I know that some of the older generation has a problem with that.
Sure.
In education, we saw it during, Zoom class time, but the kids did great with asynchronous communication. And I mean, like, for example, somebody who's working the night shift to not have to come in early for a meeting before their night shift and instead get an email or a video of what occurred in the meeting earlier that day. I mean, as long as everybody has the information and can email somebody a question, why is asynchronous communication frowned upon? I mean, then people could get things done on the time they need to get it done. And this leads to the last and final one, which I personally have experimented on my own life and had helped me a lot. Okay, is the employees had specific training for time use. Okay. If
Oh.
you have ever read Daniel Pink, basically it's all about the art of timing and how timing can change outcomes in various situations for people, for individuals' lives. One of my favorite ones was for testing for students, not to give them testing first thing in the morning, to let them socialize with their friends for 20 minutes ahead of time. And students who are in Title I schools, who come from low socioeconomic families, will score almost as high as kids that have tutors and come from the mainstream schools and have the parental support at home with 20 minutes of socialization before a test, just because the timing changed. I know, right? But one of the things he has as part of you reading the book or purchasing the book is a test to find out what times of the day you're most productive, right? So it tells you what time you're most productive, what time you're most creative, and what time of the day you're kind of hitting a slum. Okay. And then it explains to you what you could do during the slum to make it through, the types of things you should schedule for the time of the day that you're most productive, and the things you should schedule for the times that you're most creative. And when I was a curriculum specialist, I did that, and it helped a lot. I saved all of my HTML and my charts and my deep curriculum stuff for the afternoon. In the morning, I answered all of my emails, and I tend to try to have as many meetings as I could at that point with other schools and things like that. And in the afternoon during my slum, I just picked something super easy, like all the emails that I flagged that were simple yes, no answers or copy paste things. That's what I would do at that point. And I was very productive, in my opinion, and at least on my review, that I was found to be very productive. And I still kind of use it today as a teacher as much as I can around classroom time. I prefer for my planning to be in the morning and not in the afternoon in the middle of my slum. And so these people figured out what time of the day they were the most productive. They taught them how to schedule those things around the times that they were productive. They taught them how to handle the lull and increase the productivity to where they only needed 32 hours a week instead of 40. Can you imagine that? Less meetings. That could have been an email. Defining what matters at work and being able to teach somebody how to handle their time. And you have more productivity in 4 days than you have in 5. So I think that there's those are all things that could go right with the 4-day work week.
The flip side is that is what's going wrong in the 5-day work week. In our end capitalist dystopian future, hopefully we can pull it out and go to 4 days and give people some more mental health and some more life value that doesn't come from monetary means.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So what could possibly go right with the 5-day work week? We keep doing things the same.
Yeah, nope, got nothing.
Okay. That's all I got too. I mean,
okay, good stuff. All right, well, thank you for joining us for this episode of What Could Possibly Go Wrong. I think we've really explored and gone down quite a few rabbit trails on this one. And I think this one was the most educational of all of our episodes thus far. Thank you, Lyndzy. Thank you, watchers and listeners. And remember to ask for help if you need it. And have a great one. Bye.
bye.